Welcome to the Mindset Mutiny. I am your host, Mike Ivanov. Join me as we challenge the status quo, break free from self-imposed limits, and redefine what's possible. What's up, everybody? Welcome back. We're in the new studio, having a hell of a time. Tonight, we got a special one here about canceling your victim mentality. This is something that robbed me of so much in my life until I became aware of it. It's a disease out there killing potential. It infects you without even you realizing it. It seeps into your mind, your decisions, your entire fucking life. Victim mentality. And today we're going to kill it. A victim mentality is a psychological mindset. It's where a person will consistently see themselves as a victim of circumstances. They blame external factors for their struggles instead of taking responsibility for their actions. It's the belief that life is happening to you and that you have no control over your circumstances. It's quite the opposite. We are in control. At its core, victim mentality is a self-imposed mental fucking prison. It's a mindset that convinces you that no matter what you do, you're powerless to change your situation. And that mindset, it'll always lead to blame, excuses, inaction. It will always trap people in a cycle of frustration and stagnation. That's where the anxiety starts. That's where the depression starts. Trust me, I've fucking been there. I used to always just feel like my entire life was happening to me, that I was a victim. As soon as I flipped the script and went on the aggressive, went on the attack, stopped playing defense, that's when everything changed. It really was that I stopped making excuses. So every time this victim mentality would pop up, I'd present facts as to why I was feeling bad for myself. But before anybody loses their shit, right? Because this is can be controversial for some, calling people a victim. I'll just make something clear. We all have that victim mentality inside of us. Every single one of us. And if you're listening to this and you're sitting there shaking your head like, not me, I never think like that. Guess what? You're lying to yourself. And denial is the first sign of a victim. The ones who can admit that that voice exists, the ones who acknowledge it, they're already on their way there to killing it. You can't fix what you're not aware of. You don't know what you don't know. So I'll say this loud and clear. A lot of you currently or have and might in the future let a victim mentality run your life. You let it dictate your actions, or should I say inaction. And I'll tell you something. I can see it from 20 miles away. You can't hide that shit from me. And the reason you can't is because I lived it. I was a big victim many times. So I can see it in people, and I see it every single day. I know it so well because that weak-ass mindset was a part of my daily thinking. This is how it shows up. This is the shit I used to say, like, must be nice to be so fortunate. Like, what the fuck is that? Well, like somebody just, bless somebody with being fortunate? I don't know. Must be nice to have all that talent. Come on. Must be nice to have that great body, like someone just fucking gifted it to them. That's the shit I used to say. I hear people say it all the time. I hear people say that shit about me. And I'm like, man, like I used to be at rock bottom. I had to earn all this shit. And I used to think just like you're thinking right now. Stop. You know, when I say that to people, sometimes it goes well, sometimes it doesn't. And you know what? I used to always be like, yeah, that's nice. Must be nice. This is great. Blah, blah, blah. Wish I had, right? You know what? It is fucking nice. Yeah, it is. Right? But you know what that weak victim mentality doesn't register? The amount of discipline, sacrifice, relentless effort it takes to get there. So these people that I used to look at that were like, must be nice, I was dismissing and not able to do the work that they were doing to get that. And as soon as I finally realized that I had this victim programming in my head that was blocking me from achieving what these people have achieved, that was the unlock. And I had to have somebody tell me that. Somebody had to say, hey, Mike, stop being such a fucking whiny little bitch. Go get what you want. That was so hard to hear. It was difficult. But it's the best thing I've ever heard. It changed my entire life. The victim cry wants it right away. That was me. Didn't want to do the work, but wanted all the success. The entitlement to the success. I never suffered for it. I wanted instant results. I wanted success without having to pay my dues. And let me break it to you. Not everyone gets a trophy in the real world. And you know what? That's fucking okay by me. Because you have a choice. You have the choice to tell that victim mindset to stay the fuck home. And yeah, it's hard. I know it is. It's a battle. It's a daily fight to shut that voice down. But let me tell you something else. Living life is even harder when you have that victim mentality. Life is tough right now. Try living it the rest of your life with a weak, powerless mindset. Try waking up every single day feeling like you're a passenger in your own life. Try dealing with failure when you believe you have no control over it. Try walking around thinking that everything is happening to you instead of because of you. That's the real fucking suffering. That's why people are fucking sick. That's why people have anxiety and depression. Because nobody has helped them figure out that they're holding themselves back. And not all anxiety and depression is from this, but mine was. Mine was watching everybody else succeed, wondering why I wasn't, and then making excuses as to why I didn't have the things that I wanted, instead of just shutting the fuck up and doing the work. Living in a victim mentality with that mindset, that's real hell. Because when you think like a victim, every single problem feels 10 times worse than it actually is. Every setback, it feels permanent. Every challenge, it feels impossible. Every mistake feels like the universe is out to get you. Nobody's out to get you. Nobody's plotting against you. Nobody's waking up thinking, how can I make their life miserable today? That's the victim mindset lying to you. No one cares enough to be out to get you. You made that shit up in your head. It's fabricated. It's an excuse. You're running from the real work. And here's where it gets interesting. The second you embrace that you're in full control, the second you realize that every single action you take, regardless of feeling, takes power away from that victim bullshit. That's when the game changes. That's when you start winning. Because action, that is the antidote to victim mentality. Trust me. When I started putting one foot in front of the other and I started taking control of my life and I took ownership of everything around me, no matter what happened to me, it was, how can Mike Ivanov have done this better? Bad shit happens. What am I going to learn from this? I didn't fucking blame the situation. I didn't look for somebody to point a finger at. I see people do that all the time. They fail and they want to fucking place blame. Who gives a shit? Blame yourself. Figure out how you could have done it better. Figure out you could have been the solution. That's what kills that victim shit. You can do this. You just got to be aware of it. Write down all your excuses. When you're feeling bad for yourself, call it out. Why am I feeling sorry for myself? That's that victim shit. That emotion, feeling bad for yourself, gets you nowhere. Take that feeling of feeling bad for yourself and convert it into fuel to do something. Like I said, take the action. Take the step forward. Because every time you take that step forward, no matter how small, you weaken that grip. You weaken that self-pitying voice. You go to the gym when you don't feel like it. That's a win. You get up early instead of hitting snooze. That's another win. You stop blaming others and take ownership. That's a win. And those small wins, like I always say, they stack up. They build momentum. They become habits. They become who you are. They are the fucking bricks. And when you live that way, when you prove to yourself over and over again that you're in control, that victim mentality dies. It has no oxygen left to breathe. It doesn't get a fucking vote anymore. So what's it going to be? Are you going to keep fueling your own misery by playing the victim? Or are you going to starve that shit out by taking control of your actions? To be honest, your life depends on how you answer. And if you don't wake up and take control now, then get comfortable with staying weak, staying lost, and watching other people win while you keep making excuses. It's completely your choice. Understand that there is no one to blame except the person looking back at you in the mirror. Victims will continue to tell themselves the same story, continue to blame others. While everybody's looking at that person, they know the truth. I'm just willing to call it out so that those people can fix it, change their lives. I lived that shit. It's fucking miserable. God, there's signs. There's signs of that victim mentality. There's signs that, well, you can identify so you don't get overtaken by it. So for example, blaming others, right? It's my boss's fault. It's the government. It's my parents. I wasn't born rich. Like all that fucking bullshit. Blaming others, number one, right? Feeling powerless, another one. Thinking that you don't have control over your life. You have 100% control. You control how you react to problems. You control the actions that you take, the people you meet, the energy you allow in, the energy you give. You have control over how you show up, how you handle bad circumstances, what you learn from having the chips stacked against you. Can't feel powerless. I'm not going to buy that shit. Avoiding responsibility. You're not acknowledging your role in your situation. So if we're talking right now and you're shaking your head like, this guy's an asshole, this guy doesn't understand my situation, I don't want to dismiss your situation. Everybody has different struggles. But stop avoiding the responsibility of taking control of that situation. Stop letting that situation define the rest of your life. Stop giving it power. Stop letting it change your personality. Acknowledge that you have a responsibility to lead a certain life. Stop avoiding it. Sympathy seekers. There's always those people looking for validation. They look for validation for their struggles, but seek zero solutions. Imagine that. You just like run off of people feeling fucking bad for you. Wow. That's unhealthy. Sympathy won't get you there. Nobody has become successful and accomplished everything in their life by being fueled by sympathy. Fight back. Take that sympathy, throw in the fucking garbage can. Nobody really wants it. Might feel good for a second, but it will drain you. It will leave you a shell of a human being. It leaves you a victim. Another one that's very important is negative self-talk. You'll hear people say, nothing ever works for me. I can't do this. Well, if you keep saying that, that will be true. The words we tell ourselves become who we are. You can take two people who are identical skill sets, same upbringing, everything, right? One tells themselves a story of success. The other one tells themselves a story of that they can't. The person who's telling themselves a story of success will be successful. Facts. Say what you want. Lastly, victims tend to resent successful people. They feel like other people have it easier while they have a hard situation that keeps them stuck. Stop it. So now we can touch on some of the pros and cons of a victim mentality, right? We always love, going to the paper, make the pros and cons list. Well, I've done that today. So start with the cons. And there's a little trick with the pros because the pros aren't really pros. It's what we think the pros are, which actually work against us, right? All right. So the cons, you stay stuck. You don't believe you have control. You never take action. This can be emotionally draining. It will constantly frustrate you, and the negativity will take a toll. That's where some of the depression can sneak in, some of the anxiety, some of the feelings of like, life is never going to work for me. With that attitude, you will repel opportunity. People do not want to work with or help someone who always complains, someone who feels like they have no control and they're a victim. People fucking run from that shit because negative energy is contagious. And so is positive energy. Nobody wants to catch that. You put one bad apple, right, with a whole bunch of good apples, turns them all bad, right? So if you're stuck in this negative thought process and this victim mentality, people who could help you out of it will run from you. So you need to stop with that shit. This whole mentality, again, reinforces Anxiety and depression. It makes you feel powerless, which fuels that mental distress. And before you say, Mike, you don't know about anxiety, depression, just understand that I do. Can do some research on my background. I lived this. And when I was at my worst, the victim mentality just started to intensify. I felt so bad for myself. I felt like my situation was way worse than everybody else's. And all I did was waste time. The longer I stayed in that victim mode, the more time I lost. So if you stay in that mode, it will solidify. I've seen it. I've watched people go from high performance, grab a bad attitude, and before you know it, they've changed completely. Don't even recognize them. But I've also seen people go the other way. Victim mentality for a long time and then said, fuck this. I'm in charge. I'm not living this way anymore. I'm taking control of my life. I'm running towards everything. Everything is my responsibility. That's what I did. It changed my life, and I want to help others do the same thing. And you can do it. You just have to stop thinking that way. Stop feeling bad for yourself. Stop thinking that your situation is worse than others. Own your situation. Do something about it. Take action. Move forward. Move through it. And you can do whatever you want. Life will start coming to you if you do start doing these things. Trust me. So the pros, which is why people like to stay in that victim mentality, right, is because it's comfortable. Blaming other people means that you don't have to make the hard changes. You can stay the same, comfortable, and blame everybody else and think that they need to change. Fuck that. You need to change. If you're not growing, you're not evolving, you're dying. And when the brain starts to not evolve and doesn't start to grow and sticks in kind of a rut, solidifies. It becomes harder to climb out of it. People also like that victim mentality because they get a little attention. Like I said, people give them sympathy, at least for a little while. Same shit, you avoid failure. If you never try, you never fail. So people will stay there out of fear. No sacrifice, you won't get anything on the backside. And again, that's why it removes the pressure. No responsibility means no accountability. But it also means no growth. So the problem is that these pros are illusions. They feel good temporarily, but they will destroy your future. So listen, life is unfair. As soon as you understand that, it becomes that much easier. Who gives a fuck about a fair fight? Have you ever won a fight that was unfair? I have. And it's that much more satisfying when all of the fucking chips are stacked against you and every reason is there to quit. Every reason is there for you to lose, but you fucking win. There's no power like that. One opportunity like that will kill that victim mentality forever. But if you're not putting yourself in those situations where the chips are stacked against you, and then you don't flip the switch and just take control and do everything possible to win, you won't experience it. But I'll tell you, that's where I want to be. I like the unfair. Fucking awesome. Give it to me. I will win. I will find a way. But a victim mentality will keep you stuck in that unfair, right? Life is unfair. I say life is unfair. Fuck yeah, let's bring it. Hell yeah. Great. Challenge? Absolutely. Makes me who I am. Builds character. Builds deeper trust with myself. So there's two ways to say it. Life is unfair. Great. Or life is unfair. Which one? Which one do you want to pick? Remember, shit fucking happens, man. People betray you. People screw you over. People get advantages you'll never have. Who cares? Worry about your fucking self. Control what you can control. Some people are born with money. Some have connections. Some never had, to fight to do anything. But guess what? None of that changes what you are capable of. Think about that. What everybody else has doesn't change what you can accomplish. So let me ask you a question. Are you going to let that be your excuse? Are you going to make it your fuel? Because sitting around blaming everything but yourself, that is the fastest way to guarantee that nothing ever changes. You're handing your power over to someone else. You're letting the world decide your fate while you just fucking sit there, watching from the sidelines, whining about how unfair the game is. That's victim mentality, and it's fucking pathetic. I know that that's a strong thing to say, but that's the stuff I had to tell myself to snap myself the fuck out of it. If I was gentle with myself, I'd still be a victim. And you know what? Some people might not like hearing that. And you know what? Yeah, I cried a lot when I was telling myself that shit. Breaking that mentality was one of the hardest things I've ever done. And I'm sorry that I have to be so hard about it on you. But I was hard about it to myself because that's what it took to get it done. So if you really ask yourself the truth, you're listening to this because you want to become better, whatever that is. And if you got to go through pain of hearing things you don't want to hear, it'll all be worth it. The whole point of everything that I'm doing here is because there was none of this when I needed the help. When I needed to hear these hard truths that will smack you in the face, knock you on the ground, make you cry. I'm trying to pay it forward. And I get it, it's raw, of course. But when you have a mentality that's so dug in, it has to be treated aggressively. There is no way I can put my arm around you and get you to stop the victim mentality. There's just no way. If there was any other way, I would do it. But I know this way works because it worked for me. That victim mentality is chatty. It keeps talking. It'll whisper in your ear that it's not your fault. It'll tell you you can't do anything about it. It'll tell you just to accept it. That's not true. But people eat that shit up because it's easier to believe than the truth. Because like I said, the truth, it's fucking brutal. I can remember having to sit with the truth. It's crazy to think about, but I had to write all the things down that I hated about myself. I wrote down all the excuses I was making, all the people I was blaming and why I was blaming it. And then once I wrote them down, I would read through them. And I try to read through them from a third person perspective. Because if you read through them like, hey, I wrote these and I'm going to defend them, because we've talked about how people defend, the worst parts of themselves to the point where they just rationalize anything, right? Somehow I was able to look at all these things and said, hey, listen, Mike, if I want to get better, I got to tell myself the truth. And if that means being a bully to myself, then that's what I got to do. So I was hard. I was truthful to the point where people would read the shit I wrote and be like, Mike, you're being really hard on yourself. You shouldn't say that about yourself. I just say, well, if it's fucking true, it's true. And the second I was able to see that these things that I wrote down were true, I was able to start fixing them. And every little part that I fixed, that victim mentality started to die. And that victim mentality slowly turned into some momentum. Then came confidence. Then came more things that I checked off and fixed that I didn't like. Right? But it only happened because I had to tell myself the hard truth, which a lot of people still struggle to do. The truth will set you free. You don't have what you want because you haven't worked hard enough. You're not where you want to be because you didn't make the sacrifices. So that right there, right? You're not where you want to be because you didn't make the sacrifices. People will get mad that I say that. You're not where you want to be because you didn't make sacrifices. I mean, it's pretty simple, but for some reason, people feel that when I say you're not sacrificing enough, they get upset. Well, why should I have to sacrifice things? Because that's how it works. Nobody that's ever been successful or accomplished great things will tell you they didn't sacrifice anything. Time, comfortability, sitting on the couch, watching Netflix, playing video games. They fucking sacrifice that shit. Eating all your comfort food, sacrifice it. You want to go out to the bar or do you want to sit down and read a book? I don't know. The sacrifice to learn would be that you can't go out and drink. But people get upset, Or when people keep failing because they keep making the same weak-ass decisions. And that's a hard pill to swallow. Because if you accept that, then you have to own it. And once you own it, you can't hide behind excuses anymore. That's why most people choose that victim bullshit. Yep. I said it. It's a choice. Because taking ownership, that's also a choice. But that means doing the work. That means being relentless. That means sacrificing everything for something further along down the road. It's waking up every day, facing the things that scare the shit out of you. Most people aren't ready to do that. They'd rather live the illusion that life is just unfair. They'd rather think that success is for other people, that they're just stuck. Fucking victim shit, man. But let's be real. You are not stuck. You're choosing to stay stuck. You're comfortable in your excuses. And you know what's even crazier? Like I said, some people spend more energy justifying why they can't change than it would actually take to change. I've seen it. They'll fight tooth and nail to convince the world that their situation is impossible. But the only thing impossible is making progress when you refuse to take responsibility. I want you to know, you need to understand that you're responsible for your own damn life. It's not your parents' fault. It's not your boss. It's not the economy. It's not your past or anything else you want to point fingers at. You want different results, you take different actions, period. And if you don't, then just stop pretending you want change. Because wanting change and actually doing what it takes to make it happen, those are two different things. Anyone can say they want to be successful. Anyone can say they want to be in shape. They want to make money. They want to be confident. They want to live a life they're proud of. But how many people actually do what's necessary? How many of you are willing to fucking suffer for what you want? to be uncomfortable, to sacrifice, to get up early, stay up late, push yourself, come up against those limits and pass them. You got to do all this shit while everyone else is coasting. One thing I understand is successful people, they are not lucky. They are not special. They just refuse to let themselves off the hook. They don't sit around waiting to be motivated. They don't tell sob stories about why things are so hard for them. They put their head down and they work, no matter how they feel. That's the difference. They don't let the emotions win. And if you're still listening to this and you're getting fucking pissed off about it, if you feel called out, good. Because that means you know I'm right. It means there's a part of you somewhere deep down that knows you're capable of more. And that part of you, that's the fire. That's the piece of you that is screaming to be set free. So the only question is, are you going to listen? Or are you going to keep lying to yourself? So let's put one thing into perspective right now. Most people who have a victim mentality, they think their situation is impossible. They think that they're dealing with something no one else could ever understand. And I'm not here to minimize that struggle. I know life gets dark. I know it gets painful. I know how it feels when you think there's no way out. Because on October 19th of 2019, I sat in that exact place. That day, I had to look my wife in the eyes and tell her something that no one ever wants to say. I had to tell her. I told her my deepest, darkest secret, something I'd been living with for almost a year. I had to tell her I was going to take my own life. I didn't see a way forward. I didn't think I had another fight in me. I thought my story was over. And in that moment, my mind had made its decision. My mind wanted to destroy itself. There felt like no way out. But there was. After I said it out loud, it took some of the power away from it. That's what I want you to do with your victim mentality. I dug deep. I summoned everything I had. I had everything inside of me. And I made a choice. I overrode my own mind. That's why I'm so passionate about what I'm telling you. I stood up. I fought back. I refused to be a victim of my own pain. That day, the old me died. A new version of me was born. A version that realized its power. A version that saw the truth. That I could use my struggle as fuel. That I could take all that darkness, all that suffering, and turn it into fire. And I did. I climbed my way back to greatness. Not because I had to. Not because someone came to save me. But because I chose to. And I'm telling you right now, if I could come back from that, then you can overcome anything. I don't care how bad it feels right now. I don't care what you think is impossible. I don't care what you've convinced yourself you can't do. Because if I listen to that weak voice in my head, if I let that voice get the final vote, I wouldn't be here right now. It's that simple. So if you listen to that weak voice, you'll stay exactly where you are. But I want you to know that you have a choice right now. You either keep living in that victim mentality or you stand up. You take control and you rewrite your own story. No one is coming to save you. No one is going to hand you an easier life. You either rise or live a life full of regret. So what's it going to be?